One of the most frustrating types of men to come across in the dating world for women today is men who want what I call a submissive provider. A woman who defers to the man, to his leadership, follows his lead, but is also more in the provider role, more like a mother, taking care of him financially and oftentimes also emotionally. And at first, these men might seem, on the surface, kind of masculine because they do a lot of the leading and planning when it comes to dating. But over time, this starts to shift. And the woman starts to get confused, like, what's going on? And she realizes over time, and you may have realized this yourself, you may have experienced this yourself, this man actually isn't really as masculine as I thought that he was. You find yourself in this dynamic where you are drained, you are not being cherished, you're not happy, you're not feeling joy, you're feeling constricted and exhausted. And it's because you found a man who's not really in his masculine, who wants a submissive provider. And today we're going to be talking about this type of man, this type of mindset, and what to do if you find out that you are with a man who in some way or another, consciously or unconsciously, wants this very twisted dynamic. Before we get into it, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Zach Rohde. I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication to inspire a man into cherishing you. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that below, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like this video because, of course, I'm going to make sure it's a very good one for you today. So, the submissive provider that a man wants. What is going on? Well, first of all, we got to talk about what masculine men want. Let's give an overview for anyone who is new to this channel, and this is a great overview for anyone who has listened in before, or even long-term subscribers. So, masculine men, they want to provide, they want to protect, they want to take care of you, they want to lead. They want to be in charge, but they're in charge of taking care of you. They want to direct. They want to set the boundaries. They want to make the plans. But they're doing that to take care of you because they cherish you, because they love you, because they want to give you an incredible experience. They want to make your lives easier. They want to make you happy. And they do that with their leadership so that you get to just lean back, go along for the ride, have a great time. And then if there's any problems in any kind of way, you just share your feelings, you just share your negative experience you're having so that the man can course correct and adjust so that you are happy. A masculine man loves that. With my wife, she's a stay-at-home mom, has it relatively quite easy. I'm sole provider, and I love to take care of her. I want to make her life easy. That's what gives my life more meaning, is making her life better through my leadership. Now, of course, I'm also leading. I also want respect. I want her to, even more than that, I want her to revere me as her man. I want her to look up to me. I want her to fully trust in my leadership. I want her to fully receive my leadership. Okay, this is what any masculine man is going to want from a woman if his masculine instinct is online. So he wants the leadership, he wants to lead both for the respect from the woman and so that he can take care of the woman, and that is healthy. A feminine woman, what is her job? Your job as a woman, right? If you're watching this far and you haven't been triggered away, it's probably because your feminine instinct is somewhat online. You want to be taken care of. Now you might have, especially if you're new here, you might have some resistance in the way. It's like, oh, is this fair? Blah, blah, blah. Speaking to your feminine instinct right now. So there could be triggers, wounding on top of it. But you want and need to be taken care of. You need to be, we'll call it like spoiled. You need to be led with love, with care, planned for, provided for financially. Even if you're able to financially take care of yourself, it feels so much better to be financially taken care of by a man who loves you. Also emotionally taken care of, right? The man wants to take care of your feelings, help you with your feelings, make sure that your needs are met, open you up energetically, find out exactly what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, what you need, what your fears are, what your goals are, everything about you, and lead to make sure that you thrive with him in a relationship. You just get to receive and express what's coming up for you if you're struggling to receive in some kind of way. So that's your role, and it's a difficult role. Like, it might sound easy on the surface, but when you actually put it into practice, and if you know this, if you've actually done this, especially if you've been implementing my advice, it's like, yeah, it's hard, because you have to move through so much fear, so much past social conditioning, so much wounding, learning how to communicate in a feminine way, learn how to be with your triggers, learn how to always communicate respectfully, how to be vulnerable. It's really difficult to do that, and that takes a lot of self-responsibility as a woman to do that. And if you are on that path, congratulations, because most women are never going to go on that path. They're too shut down, they're too much in victimhood, they're not going to make the journey. And if you're making the journey, wherever you are on that path, congratulations for that. My job is to help take you a lot further. And just by watching these videos, we're going to go on a journey. You're going to learn so much about how to make these shifts, how to communicate in this beautiful feminine way, how to do all of this safely, how to recognize the types of, if you're single, how to recognize the type of man that you're with so that you don't get stuck with the wrong kind of man. Or if you're in a relationship, how to inspire him into fully being your man and fully taking care of you. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel, again, do it. Like, if you're this far into the video, you probably like it, so give it a subscribe and give this video a like as well. That helps the algorithm so other women can find me. So the problem in today's society, and even in past, it's not even now, it's worse now, I think, but even in the past it was the same issue. There is so many men who have not grown up. They might appear to be grown up. They might go to the gym, they might look really good, be really muscular, talk in a kind of masculine way and be leading, blah 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 blah. But at their core of who they are as a man, their masculine instinct isn't fully online. It might be online enough to know that they want to be in charge in a relationship. For some of these men, the specific type of man I'm talking about right now, they don't want a woman who's telling them what to do. It doesn't feel good for them. But their heart hasn't fully come online because they weren't parented properly. And they got wounds around it. And so they want to lead a relationship. They want to be in charge. They want the respect from a woman, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with that, right? So like in my marriage, as an example, I love the responsibility that comes with that. I love being responsible for taking care of my wife as well as my daughter. That is what powers me. That's what fuels me. That's what excites me. That's what inspires me, is to be responsible. That's what keeps me going. But a lot of men don't want that because responsibility is hard, right? Responsibility can be scary, right? Especially if you don't see yourself as a very competent person capable of fulfilling your responsibilities. A lot of men who have not been parented properly want to have the easy life. They want to coast. They want a woman who is going to make their life as easy as possible. Now, to be clear, just to clarify the difference here, I want my wife to make my life easy in the sense that I don't want her arguing with me or like judging and questioning me and getting in the way of my leadership all the time. And I want her to make my life easier, by like cooking dinners and keeping the house nice and all of that stuff. Yeah, of course I want that. But I don't want it to be easy for me in the sense that I have no responsibilities and my wife has all the responsibilities and she's following my lead. And that's what a lot of men today want. So they want the woman who listens to them, and they want her to be providing, like either being a sole provider or at least like, going 50-50 in some kind of way, giving him emotional support, encouraging him. That's what a mother is supposed to do for her 5-year-old. That's not what a woman is supposed to do for a grown man. And because we live in such a depolarized, wounded society, many women often think that at least doing some of that is normal. It's like, oh yeah, of course I should encourage. No, you shouldn't encourage your man. It's not your role. Of course I should be supportive and help open him up with his feelings. No, you shouldn't. That's not your role. You're not his mother. Your role is to be taken care of. He can take care of himself. And if he needs help taking care of himself, then he needs to go to outside support, a group of men, ideally, who can help him through whatever he is dealing with. That is not your job. Your job is to be taken care of. Stop thinking that's your job. Not 100% of the time, not 50% of the time, not 5% of the time. It is not your job. I don't want my wife to ever feel like she needs to take care of me emotionally or financially. I can take care of myself just fine. And again, to clarify, because there can be a lot of misunderstandings around this, some of you might be like, oh my God, that's dangerous. Like, this is how a lot of men end up committing suicide because their woman's not taking care of them. No, that's not true. And I'm not advocating like a man being strong, like not crying and, big boys don't cry and any of that stuff. Look, I cry all the time. Well, less now, because I've cried so much out that I need to cry out so many of my past wounds and, grieving for lost loved ones and all kinds of stuff. But I can do that, and I have no problem crying. I have no problem admitting that I'm crying or I have cried. I do have a problem with my wife consoling me when I'm crying, and it's not because it's not because, what is it? How do I explain this? It's not because of some societal thing that's been imposed on me, some societal belief that this is wrong. I'm not getting it from that. I'm getting it from my instinct. My instinct doesn't want that. And I've tried it. Understand, I've tried it. I've been vulnerable with my wife before when I thought I was supposed to do that. I've cried in front of her. But now that my masculine instinct is fully online, I just don't want it. It doesn't do anything for me. It literally does nothing. It's just I just want to cry in peace. Leave me alone so I can go cry by myself. Let me support myself so that I can be strong enough to take care of you. In a very similar way, and this is not to infantilize a woman, because understand, I fully realize there's huge differences between women and children, but it's the same reason I wouldn't want to be crying in front of my daughter so that she can hold space for me to cry. It's if she sees me cry, it's okay, well, it's fine. I'll tell her about why I'm sad and everything and, give her a big hug. But I'm still in the caretaking role, right? I'm taking care of her even if she were to see me cry. It's not I'm afraid that she'll see me as weak and then oh no, it's not about that. It's just I don't want her to have to be in the role of being my caretaker because I'm her caretaker. And it's the same thing with my wife. If she sees me cry, I'll be yeah, I'll be okay. Just got to work through this. No big deal. It's not I'll feel a ton of shame about it or insecure that she'll leave me because she sees me in a point of weakness. I don't even see that as weakness. But I don't want her to step into the caretaking role because my job is to take care of her. Even though she's an adult. She's a woman, and this is the role. This is the dynamic. This is the polarized dynamic, and that's okay, and that's perfectly healthy. But a lot of men today who have not been properly raised, who've not been properly mothered, who've not been properly fathered, they don't know how to take care of themselves. So what they're really looking for is a mother figure that they can boss around. I'm going to say that again because this is really important. A mother figure that they can boss around. Mom! Get me some orange juice! I'm thirsty! Mom! I'm cold, get me a sweater. This is the mindset that I'm talking about. Who is going to respond to that? Well, the submissive mother role, mother figure, right? That's what that kind of man is looking for. He wants you to be that. And the problem is, actually I'm going to tell you what the problem is in one moment. Have you subscribed to this channel yet? Make sure you do that. Of course you're loving it by this time. You make sure you subscribe, and again, give it a like. The problem with this is that if you have certain wounds that complement his wounds, you are going to find yourself with such a man. You're going to find yourself attracted to such a man. For example, let's say your feminine instinct is online somewhat. You like to have a man who's in charge and who's leading, but also you have low self-worth and you don't realize how worthy you are of just receiving a man's care. And so What do you do when you're in a relationship with a man like that? You, in some ways, kind of like it, because you get to do all these things for a man, be in the motherly role, and then you feel good about yourself. You feel worthy because of all the things that you're doing. Otherwise, you'd feel really insecure, like, what's my role here? What's my place? You'd be afraid of being abandoned all the time. So if that is you, if you have those specific woundings, you're going to attract that kind of man, almost definitely. And that's going to suck. That's going to be a really painful experience for you, and oftentimes a very confusing experience for you as well. And there are a lot of men that are like that in our society today. There's also men who are looking for a roommate. There's also men who don't want to tell a woman what to do and just want a mother, or they want a mother to basically tell them what to do. There's men who want to tell a woman what to do and kind of just be left alone. That was more like me, right? And I was kind of leaning towards roommates, like we'll just be two roommates to leave each other alone. We'll meet our own needs, but not each other's. There's lots of men out there, but the man looking for the submissive provider, that's a big one. And he's gonna drain the hell out of you. He really is. You've got to learn how to shift your self-worth. In our academy program, like, we see this so commonly. Women who are stuck in or have been stuck in dynamics where they are with a man who at least seems somewhat masculine in some ways, but then is leading them into taking care of them. And again, it's like, I'm not saying taking care of a man in any way is bad, right? Like, I've led my wife to take care of me by, cooking me meals and cleaning up the house and that kind of stuff. That's totally fine. Because that supports my mission. It makes my mission easier. And part of my mission is to be able to take care of my wife and my daughter. But men go way further than this, where they want a full-on mother. And what we see in the academy is this is always going to be stemming from low self-worth patterns. And the way that this shifts for women, I'm going to talk about the way that this shifts. And then the other thing that I need to talk about before we wrap things up is how it's kind of always been this way. This isn't just a modern phenomenon. It's always kind of been this way. And women have been falsely called feminine throughout history when there's actually some stuff going on. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, the way that you shift this is you have to shift out of your unhealthy patterns. When you have a man who leads you into that stuff, you can't comply to that. Like that isn't even submission, right? Submission, healthy submission, is where you're doing it to honor your heart. But if you're really in touch with your instinctual need, you should feel an aversion to that, like, oh, it doesn't really feel right. Another example would be like a man who wants you to drive him around in your car. That shouldn't feel good if your instinct is online. Now, for a lot of women, especially women who are quite feminine, it's like, do follow a man's lead. You follow his lead with all of this stuff, leading you to basically be his mother. And you think you're doing the right things. Yeah, I'm following. Like, you might have even done this since listening to my videos. If you're a long-time follower, it's like, yeah, I'm following him. I'm listening to him. I'm doing what he wants me to do. Why is my relationship? Why has it turned into a pile of horse poop? Well, the reason why is because he was leading you to do things that dishonor your heart, that depolarize the dynamic, driving you around, paying for stuff, emotionally supporting him, holding space for his feelings, planning his birthday, buying him gifts. All of that stuff is inverting the dynamic where you're becoming more and more like his mother and you're not feeling cherished. And the more that inverts, the tragedy is, like, he wants it on some level, but the more that inverts, the less attracted to you he is. Because the lower self-worth you're operating from, and the lower your self-worth is, moment to moment, the less attraction a man has for you. So he's just going to probably take advantage of you more. He's going to want you to be even more of his mother. And he's going to start emotionally straying and maybe sexually straying at some point too. He might cheat on you. Might become more interested in porn. And then you feel absolutely terrible about it, and your self-worth is already low, and it's like, I'm doing everything that I can. Yeah, you're doing everything that you can except being your self-worth. And that doesn't mean you say no to him, Because if you start saying no, well, you're resisting him, you're putting a wall up. It is a form of disrespect, even though he's definitely not being respectable if he does. That's where you need to use feminine communication. You need to ask for help with what you're feeling. You need to share your feelings. I'm not going to go into much in the feminine communication in this one. I've done that in a lot of other videos, like the basics of what to do. What are you feeling? You feeling some anxiety? You feeling some sadness, anger? You share that. You ask for help with that. Share what the problem is. And you don't comply. You should never comply. Unless it feels like a yes in your body, you shouldn't do what your man wants. Because that's just enabling him to stay stuck. So we help women in the academy shift using feminine communication, shift out of these unhealthy patterns, learn how to communicate in this beautiful feminine way, and either inspire their current man into manning up and actually being masculine, actually stepping into the caretaking role with her, or sometimes it doesn't work. Like sometimes a woman could do everything right, but a man is just too far gone. And I can never promise like, hey, this is going to shift everything 100% for sure. This is definitely the best chance you got for sure, but it's no guarantee. But anyway, even if it doesn't work, okay, you got to flow away. That's an act of self-worth. And then you attract someone better. And if you do this work, if you go through this process, if you do everything that we teach in these videos, and especially if you get our academy support where we make the shifts happen way faster, well, you're going to have your dream relationship with a man who's taking care of you and leading you, treating you like his cherished woman, adoring you, protecting you, providing for you. Because you're just going to get that outer reflection of what you've already shifted internally. So the outer has to match the inner over time. It doesn't have to at all times, but over time it's going to. You're going to get that energetic match. So if you're not getting the reflection that you want in your love life, you got to look. You're like, why? What am I doing to show up in a way that's creating this? What am I enabling? What am I not inspiring? What should I be doing differently? And a big part of it, like the number one thing that we see in our academy is women are not sharing their feelings when they need to share their feelings. You're not fully wearing your heart on your sleeve all the time. That's the number one. And then the number two is probably going to be you are sharing stuff. You're sharing something. You're not staying silent, but you're doing it in a masculine way that's never going to inspire a man. So nothing's going to shift. He's just going to get resistant, irritated at you, not feel inspired to want to take care of you. So it's not just about showing up. It's not about just finding a voice to communicate what's going on. It's about finding your feminine voice to do that. And that's what's going to feel best for you anyway. When your feminine instinct is online, you don't want to be judging or arguing with a man or questioning him. No, you just want to be sharing your feelings and asking for help with stuff and sharing the problems without blaming him or judging him, and then naturally inspiring him without trying to want to take care of you. And it's just so easy and it feels so right. Before we talk about how this has always happened historically, I'm just going to, for those who are ready, I'm going to briefly invite you into talking with me one-on-one. Go below this video, open up the description, click the link relationshipyourdreams.com. That's going to take you to a 10-minute video. Watch that video and then book a free discovery call with me. If you are feeling the resonance with what I am talking about and want support, you want to basically be taken by the hand and shown how to shift into your self-worth, shown how to communicate in this beautiful feminine way, how to move through all of your fears, how to stay with all of your triggers in your body, and be able to share anything without hiding anything from a man, so that you can inspire him. But it's not even for that purpose, so that you can enjoy your life the most. Because first and foremost, it's for you. But then secondly, and often it feels like it's the most important, at least at first for many women, so that you can inspire man into fully taking care of you. It's a free call. We just figure out what your patterns are. We talk about it. I give you some coaching on it. And then if we decide, hey, this is like you're right for the academy, we can actually help you. This would be the right step. Then we'll talk about the academy, and then you can decide whether you'd like to work with us. It's pretty awesome. So that's relationshipyourdreams.com. Okay, as promised, we got to talk about how it's always been this way. And this is so interesting. This seems like a modern issue, right? Men who are wanting a submissive woman who does what he wants but is actually providing in a somewhat similar way. I'm just gonna compare it to the 1950s, but you could look further back and there's gonna be a lot of similarities too. 1950s, there has been, and I've done a specific video just on this. 1950s, there were like newspaper ads and instruction booklets for women to be the ideal perfect wife. And it's all about basically being in the mothering role, other than no financial provision, right? So a woman's at home, taking care of the home, but anticipating all of the husband's needs, like waiting till he comes home and then being at the door, making sure that his slippers are ready. I can't even remember all the different things. Like just anticipating noise levels. Like so much of it is about anticipating the man's needs. Anticipating if things are too loud, if he's not comfy enough, if he wants something specific. And what is anticipating? Anticipating is a masculine energy. That's what I do for my wife. I am anticipating, okay, is she happy right now? Is there something else that she needs? Is she relaxed? Is she not relaxed? Is there something I can do for her? Right? Like if I'm out on a date with her, for example, that's the perfect illustration. I'm anticipating, is she tired? Is she bored? Is she thirsty? Is she hungry? Is she uncomfortable in some way? So I'm focused on her to make sure that she's having a good experience. A woman is not supposed to be focused on the man to make sure that he's having a good experience. That's a trauma response, right? If you've had parents who didn't fully cherish you, didn't make you fully feel safe to share your feelings, all that stuff, your focus is often going to be on the other person, on your partner, to make sure that they are okay so that they're not going to mistreat you, abandon you, whatever. It's an approval-seeking, people-pleasing tendency. Your focus is supposed to be on you, in your body. Focus on your enjoyment. And no, that's not selfish. That's actually what a man wants. He wants to be able to feel you in your joy. And the thing is, if you need anything, if he needs anything from you, he's just going to tell you, hey baby, do this. And hopefully he's not leading you to, drive him around in your car, do something where you're stepped into the mother role. So, cook us dinner. Here's what I want you to make us tonight. Or get ready to go out on an awesome date. Be ready for 6:00. He's giving you directives so you don't have to anticipate what he's thinking or feeling. You just have to follow his directives and that's it. Or if you have an issue following his directives, then sharing what's coming up for you so that he can adjust in some kind of way. And that's all. But in the 1950s and also prior to the 1950s, women were taught to anticipate a man's needs, which means that other than the financial provision, women were often in the provider role, taking care of the man when he gets home. It's like the man is an overgrown boy who goes to work to make money for the family, but then comes home to be mothered by his woman. And I'm painting this in kind of black and white terms. I'm not saying it's necessarily was like this for every family. There's going to be a huge range, right? Just like some men back then were abusers and some were really devotional and everything in between. But I am saying that there was a lot of that in the culture, and there is still a lot of that in the culture today, though it's actually much more towards like basically being roommates and taking care of each other, or just taking care of yourself even. So this has always existed, and we need to eradicate it, because I don't want women to be misled into a false version of femininity where you're just a woman who ends up being a mother for her man. It's not going to feel good for you. It's going to feel stressful. You're going to feel overwhelmed. And something's not going to feel right. What doesn't feel right is that your man is not fully in his masculine energy and you're not fully in your feminine energy. Trust that feeling. Sometimes that can be wounding, but if you're really good at paying attention to what your body's telling you, you'll know when it's your instinct. When your instinct is telling you that something's off. And that's when you need to speak up. That's when you need to use feminine communication. Share exactly what's in your heart. Share what's coming up for you. And inspire a man to be better for you. so that by you healing your wounds, right, because you're literally healing your wounds when you shift out of that unhealthy enabling pattern, now he's been invited basically to shift out of his wounds and start truly stepping up as a leader instead of expecting you to provide for him emotionally or otherwise. That's how true polarity happens. That's how the true dream relationship is going to happen. And you have the power to make that happen by you focusing on your shifts. Thank you for watching this video. Keep watching these videos. I'm going to keep bringing out more and more amazing content for you. And of course, for anyone who really wants to make these shifts as quickly as possible, who wants to have their hand held through this process, to understand how to make all these shifts as quickly as possible, to get the role modeling from us, to get the correction from us, to experience this dynamic with us where we're actually leading you through these shifts, then be sure to book that call with me. That's relationshipyourdreams.com. Again, the link is below the video in the description. Watch the video, book the call. I'll see you there. We're going to have a fantastic time, and I cannot wait to speak with you. We're going to have a great time. That's it for this one. See you for the next video.